And of course, the centerpiece of the issue that we're about to talk about now is, of course, The Outer Worlds 2. I wrote this cover story, my first cover story since we came back as an outlet. Got to visit Obsidian Entertainment with Wesley LeBlanc over in Irvine, California. First time I've ever got to visit the folks over there. And that was a really fun visit. One, because I'm a big fan of Obsidian. It's one of those developers I think I wasn't consciously aware how much I enjoyed their games until I did the kind of the head count and like, oh, I really like Fallout New Vegas. Oh, I really like Avowed. Oh, I really like Grounded. Oh, I go back, like, I thought Dungeon Siege 3 was a fun co-op game. It's like, oh, South Park, The Stick of Truth. Like, they've got just a storied RPG history. And they also have one of my favorite office lobbies, because I've been to quite a few developers at this point, and I'd say more often than not, a lot of their offices tend to be pretty sterile, especially at the entrance. But like Obsidian, you could not mistake their studio for anyone else. Like the moment you step through the door, it is just wall to wall, just like posters of all of their games going back to like stuff like you've forgotten about, like Alpha Protocol to The Outer Worlds.
How dare you? You forgot Alpha Protocol, Marcus.
Kyle, tell me the name of the protagonist in Alpha Protocol.
Obviously, it's Jason.
Jake.
Is it?
Jason.
I don't know.
Jason.
I have no idea.
Hyphenated first name.
A game I definitely did not play.
That would be. I've
Marcus,
had that in.
do you know the protagonist's name? Like, Kyle could have been really confident, and would you have known he was wrong?
I mean, I know it's not Jake Jason, but it might be like, I don't know.
All right.
Chris Alpha.
Quick. You want to get Chris Alpha? That's your guess? What's your guess?
No, that's not my real guess.
All right, what's your guess, Charles, for the protagonist of
And
of
for
Alpha
a
Protocol?
game, to be clear, have never heard of.
Yeah, sight unseen.
I'm going Thomas.
Oh, no.
Toaster does not.
Was that
have the
Toaster's
name
guess?
Thomas.
The answer was,
I'm
of
gonna
course, because I don't want to spend too much time in Alpha Protocol here, because we're here to talk about the old stuff, is Michael Thornton.
See, I might as
You're
well
close.
have said Michael.
James Thomas, Michael. We were like circling it.
Those are also names, it turns out.
But Outer
But
Worlds
yeah.
2, Marcus. I'm sorry to sidetrack you there.
No. But yeah, kind of the point of that setup was just like they are a studio that very much kind of wears its RPG history and like love of RPGs on its sleeve, and that's kind of one of the main sort of like mantras with the Outer Worlds too, because I really like the Outer Worlds. Launched in 2019. What I appreciated about it was that it was a very kind of like succinct take on like a big open world Bethesda RPG, particularly Fallout. It's like a lot more focused, and it's like half the length, but it still had like the trappings of like a Fallout, and maybe a little bit of Fallout New Vegas, of just like, oh, you got all your companions that all have these distinct personalities, and they got like their little loyalty missions, and you got these wacky weapons. You've got like the VATS equivalent with like the time slowing down mechanic. I think it's called like time dilation in the Outer Worlds. It's like, okay, like all the like kind of the parts of what I like about Fallout are here, just in a smaller package. And I enjoyed the game, but even they admitted, like, yeah, we knew even before the game came out that where we could expand on this. And, we took in a bunch of feedback of people that, enjoyed the game, but also felt it lacked the kind of like RPG complexity of some of their previous releases. So that was their kind of one of their main pillars, was like, all right, let's really dig into like making this a deeper and more reactive RPG experience. So Wesley and I got to play the first probably like 3 or 4 hours of the game. There's one big section we cannot talk about. Like, we played the opening prologue, which they are very tight-lipped about. Like, I can kind of like give like generalities, but like there's like a big story conceit that they have not talked about in any of the like preview coverage that pretty much sets up the adventure and like why you're doing what you're doing. Like, all you know is that you play as an agent of the Earth Directorate, which is sort of like the governing body from planet Earth that sort of monitors all of the activity in the different Earth colonies across space. And you are sent to a brand new colony called Arcadia, leaving Halcyon behind from the first game, because they have kind of for a long time been isolated themselves from the rest of sort of like colonized space, because for one, it's governed by a basically like an authoritarian regime called the Protectorate, whose founder was the person that invented skip drive technology, which is basically what allows ships to travel at the speed of light, like FTL travel. So because of that, they are extremely rich. And then also Arcadia is just this very resource rich colony. And but there's been this emergence of rifts around their colony, kind of like tears into like the fabric of time and space that have just appeared around the colony, and it has disrupted trade routes between Arcadia and the rest of space. However, the Protectorate is kind of okay with this. Like, they kind of want to use it for their own gain. And so you are sent there to kind of figure out, like, okay, what is going on here? We need to, maybe get these trade routes back in and set things right. So you visit Arcadia. However, on top of the Protectorate, who has had like an iron grip on Arcadia for a long time, their control has been challenged by the arrival of Auntie's Choice, which is the merger of the Spacer's Choice and Auntie Cleo's stores from the first game. Like Auntie Cleo, who is kind of like the figurehead of her company. It's kind of implied that basically her company did a hostile takeover of Spacer's Choice because she is like in charge of it. And they are pretty much like the first game was very much a giant sort of like humorous commentary on like late stage capitalism, or maybe like late stage capitalism.
Yeah, I was gonna say on that note, is Auntie Cleo a real person?
Yes.
Okay, I assumed it was like I don't know why I assumed this. I assumed it was like an
She's right
Aunt
here,
Jemima
Charles.
type thing. Well, just that it's like people think it's a real person, but it's actually just like an idea of person that they made up. But
yeah, like a brawny man situation. Yeah.
yeah. This is Mr. Clean.
Yeah, no. Auntie Cleo is real. Look what she looks like here on the Game Informer cover.
You keep showing me an illustrated picture of this person as that proves.
Do you want me to show you a photograph, like a real photograph?
We tried to get her for the podcast, Charles, but she wasn't available. We went over this.
I got her mugshot.
You can keep going.
But yes, well, she's like a central character in the game. Like, you actually encounter her pretty early on. I don't think she's like the main villain. I think it sort of depends on who you decide to work with out of the three factions in this game. So like I said, there's Auntie's Choice rolling into Arcadia, wanting to take it from their own. Like, in their minds, they're liberating, quote unquote, the populace that has kind of been living under this very brutal authoritarian regime from the Protectorate. But also they're just there to set up shop and just to make a profit. So they're not, depending on your perspective, they're not much better than them. It's just sort of like a different kind of bad. And then there's also the third faction, which is the Order of the Ascendant, which is kind of like a religious based, or a science-based religion that's kind of a spin-off of the God, I forgot the name of the order from the first game. But it's like a similar thing of like, it's like these rogue scientists that have kind of formed almost this like religious belief around this prophesized equation called like the universal equation, where they believe if they solve it, they will unlock this predictive formula that will basically allow them to predict the future and alter future events. And so they want to get a hold of that so that they can kind of steer humanity towards what they believe will be like a higher plane of being that will benefit humanity in their eyes. So they actually used to work with the Protectorate, but then they split off. And now they're at war because they're, like, they believe in sort of like intellectual freedom, which pretty much runs counter to what the Protectorate believes in, which is like, you guys are just cogs in the machine. We run the show. There's no nuance about like.
There's no conversation here. Yeah.
Yeah, like talking to Obsidian about it, they use North Korea as a inspiration point for the Protectorate to give you an idea of the. Yeah, always a good sign, of course. And yeah, like what's exciting about the sequel is how much Fallout New Vegas specifically is an inspiration. Like, talking to Brandon Adler, who is the game director for The Outer Worlds 2, he talked about how he was pushing very hard for factions to be sort of one of the primary pillars in the sequel, because he's a huge Fallout New Vegas fan. Like, he was not working at Obsidian at the time that Fallout New Vegas came out. He wasn't even he didn't even work on the first Outer Worlds. Like, this is his first stab at it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, he was talking about, like one of the things I really loved about Fallout New Vegas was just like how colorful and interesting each faction was, and how it feels like, the game can go in so many different ways depending on who you decide to align yourself with. But also, it doesn't kind of cheapen that by making it to where, like, oh, you can be everyone's friends and you can do everyone's quest line and it's okay. And they're like, no, no, no. If you choose one or two, you're going to lock yourself out of all these other narrative threads. At some point, you're going to have to make, like, hard choices about who you're going to roll with. And that is true in this game. Like, in the beginning, you can kind of test the waters and work with all three factions depending on what you believe in. And it's sort of like you can either help them as just sort of a means to an end, maybe you do actually believe in what they're into, or you can try to like pit them against each other. And they even said that if your speech skills are up to snuff, you could even maybe try to get them to cooperate together. But apparently that's like very hard to do. So just there's so many different ways that the story itself can go to depending on how you interact with everyone in the game. And like I said, reactivity seems to be one of the big sort of like selling points with this game. Like whether you're just in conversations with the characters and you got the same like choice driven dialogue. But like everyone seems to remember the things that you do a lot more. Like a simple example I had was we got to explore a new section of the game that we talk about in the cover story called Paradise Island, which is sort of the first real zone after the prologue. It's pretty much the equivalent of the Emerald Vale, which was like the first real section in the first Outer Worlds game. This is where you're going to like really encounter all three factions for the first time. And there was a mission that Wesley and I did where we had to like basically access this Vox relay, which was this big satellite on the island, and there's like a bunch of different ways that you can go about this, but sort of the centerpiece of that choice or decision making was this bridge that was guarded by the Protectorate, and it's the only way to get to the Vox relay. And Wesley and I, when we started playing together, we made a vow to like play completely different characters just so we can see the different ways that things can unfold. So I played because the Outer Worlds 2 still has the same sort of like character building of like you pick a sort of background for your character, like kind of like setting up their origin story. Like I chose a scientist who had been fired because in his mind he was too good at his job and everyone got jealous and got rid of him. And then I generally was playing like a respectable, like a good person, pretty affable, and was big on stealth, which was another big thing with the sequel, was that they allowed for more stealth options in the level design. Like there's a lot more opportunities to kind of sneak around and access different areas without having to engage people. Whereas Wesley went the hard opposite. He basically chose like a douchebag, arrogant, like idiot, because you can still be a dumb character in this game, which is one of the kind of the fun character traits in the first game. Like you could just pick an idiot and you would get all these like really funny dialogue responses that just highlight how stupid you are.
Yeah.
And also he would just like murder everybody. Like violence was like his first answer to everything. And you kind of meet two different characters that both work for Auntie's Choice, and they're like, hey, it'd be great if you help me out with this favor, but if you help one of us, you can't help the other one because we have two vastly different ideas for how you want to tackle this thing. So I chose to help one guy. Wesley chose to help this woman who was kind of she was kind of more the like, hey, let's just brute force our way across this bridge because I worked for like kind of the military. Whereas the guy I had was sort of like the sniveling like mayor of this town, and he was a lot more about subterfuge and stuff. Like, hey, we can slide in there. No one needs to know that we're doing this. So we wound up complementing both of our playstyles.
Okay.
But I like the myriad of ways you can get through this was really impressive and sort of like hopefully indicative of how the rest of the game is supposed to take shape, because I went up to that bridge and immediately you can kind of see the different ways. Like I talked to a guard who sort of said, no, you can't come through. However, maybe we can help each other out because I'm looking for these traitors that escaped, and maybe if you bring them to me, I can let you pass. And I thought about it, but since I was role-playing a good person, I was like, well, I don't know if these people are deserving of this, so I'm just going to say, I'm going to shelve that for now and see if there's another way in. And then I wound up just exploring around the perimeter because it's on this big cliff, in this ravine and found like a hole that just led inside. So I just kind of snuck in. But then very quickly was alerted. And also everyone here was a bit above my pay grade in terms of level. So I kind of just like very quickly got into a shootout where I just kind of sprinted to a room that had a button that lowered the bridge and then just sort of like ran across amid like a hail of gunfire. It was not elegant, but it worked. But then talking to Wesley, he was like, yeah, in my little mission, I found like rocket boots somehow. And I just like flew over the wall and no one saw me. Like he just bypassed everything because he found these rocket boots. And then even talking to the developer, they were saying like, yeah, there's like at least 5 or 6 other ways that are like fully supported that you could have gotten by that. And that's not accounting for any like, if you just make up your own solution, like just some like some workshop sort of like solution to this problem. So yeah, like it's like a small example of sort of the abundance of options that the game is trying to present. But yeah, it's the gunplay's better, which is probably one of the most satisfying things for me. Like it's a lot closer to something like a Destiny in terms of just like how much better it feels to shoot a gun.
That's high praise. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I remember the first game, the gunplay was like south of fine, right? It was just like, it was all right. Like so that's good.
Much
to
like
hear.
Fallout, honestly.
Yeah.
Like
for sure.
Like, I think Fallout and the first Outer Worlds were kind of like bolstered by the time slowing ability that made the gunplay a lot more tolerable.
Absolutely.
Whereas now it's like, I'm actually having more fun just like popping off headshots and not even having to feel like I have to use the time distillation or whatever as a crutch. You can like mantle and slide now, so it's a little bit of I don't think this is maybe a direct inspiration, but it just reminded me of Avowed because of like how much the traversal feels good in that game. It seems like that carries over to this game. Like, yeah, you can mantle up things and there's a little bit more verticality in the level design because of it. You can just run and slide and like knock people over if you have a certain trait. So it just feels a lot better to just get into fights with people and especially for like escaping too. It's a beautiful game. It looks nice. Yeah, like the art direction. Like we had a pretty nice chat with the art director there about sort of like the Art Nouveau style of the game. Like I said, we only got to see the prologue section and then Paradise Island, which is this tropical island. But it had the kind of like fun reveal of just like, okay, you've been in space mostly for this prologue. Now you're on an actual planet and look at all this exotic fauna in front of you. There's like these big pink, like they look like giant flowers basically, but they're ostensibly trees. Like here's this like rolling ocean next to you, and then like this cool looking Art Nouveau city off into the distance. Like it looks really nice, which is like a big plus. And yeah, it's again, as a fan of the first game, it seems like so far it's doing what you would want from like a perfect sequel of like taking the things I liked about the original and just dialing it up a little bit more while also like addressing some of the pain points like the lack of stealth options or like good stealth options in the first game. Like now there are like, it feels like stealth is a more supported playstyle, and then doubling down on like the character building with like more of the perks and flaws system, which was one of the cool things about the first game, but also reworking it to make accepting flaws more of an interesting choice. Because if you didn't play the first game, the perks and flaws system was basically whenever you did a behavior, if you behaved a certain way repeatedly, you would get a flaw associated with it. And it was sort of meant to add, like you would take on a drawback, but you would be rewarded a perk point for it. So it's like, hey, maybe your character will perform a little worse, but you can improve your other traits faster. And I thought that was fine, but being rewarded perk points felt kind of like after a while, it felt kind of like easy to ignore. Of like, I don't really need points.
There were other ways to get perk points, right? So it's like
like just naturally.
They just turn those away. Yeah, I remember not really engaging with that part of the game too much because it's like there's not really a big upside here, to what ultimately makes the game easier. Like I remember that one of the flaws when they were sharing the updated system where they have like you're better at stealth when you're crouched, but like if you stand up, your knees make a loud noise and get everyone's attention. Like stuff like that is like funky and weird, and would make the game more interesting, but it's like I was like, I don't want, so I'm glad that they're sort of reapproaching that and reevaluating it.
Yeah, now the flaws, instead of a perk point, they all have an inherent bonus built into it. So it's like, oh yeah, maybe your knees crunch, but also here's like a positive trait instead of just a perk point. They didn't get into the specifics for some of the like positive traits. They were just kind of being a little bit vague of like there was one of the new flaws is just called flawed, like the flawed flaw. And it only activates when you've taken on 2 or 3 more flaws, and it basically makes it so like you have to automatically take any other flaw that might arise throughout the game. But he didn't want to say what you would get, but he's like, if you do that, it comes with a pretty significant like positive bonus to taking on all of these flaws, which I'm curious about.
Yeah, there's the other one where it's like you might just randomly steal stuff just by looking at it. Kleptomania.
Yeah, like if you're someone that likes to steal a lot, then you'll get the kleptomania flaw, and it basically like occasionally when you just look at something, you'll just automatically take it.
That's very funny. Yeah, I like that.
Did you get any flaws when you were playing, Marcus?
No, just because we weren't playing long enough for that system to kind of kick in. So yeah, they just told us some of the ones that were in the game. But like I said, they're all goofy and fun, and they were talking about, because I asked them, like, is there such a thing as a flaw that's too stupid? And they said no, because they're. Yeah, I was like, is there such a thing as too silly? But they're, they said like, well, what's fun about the flaws is one, they're kind of almost like they're optional, so that means they have a license to be as stupid and ridiculous as they want them to be, but also they're oftentimes designed to spice up like subsequent playthroughs of like, oh, you beat the game once on maybe like a normal amount of flaws and you want to play it again, but you want to spice it up. So like, maybe I'll take on this really weird flaw that's just going to fundamentally change the way I engage with this game. So yeah, I like that idea. Like I said, I had some flaws to a point, but I definitely didn't take on nearly as many as they probably wished I would, because they was pretty easy to turn down. But adding bonuses built into the flaw itself definitely would make me consider it more. So I'm curious to see what those bonuses actually are.
It's hard to commit to something like that, I found, when I was playing the game. Like, it's really fun in theory, but I think there was one that was like a genre of flaw where it was like if you got hit by insects a lot, like big insect enemies, you'd get like entomophobia or whatever, where you have like a fear of insects and like they do more damage, but you get a perk point. And it was like, well, why would I'm doing so bad, you pointed it out to me. Why would I take more damage from them forever for a perk point? I almost think it would almost fit better for like a roguelike situation where it's like, you can try stuff out and see if you like the benefits without having to be like, there's 30 more hours of this game and my knees are going to pop every time I stand up. But I still think I like that they're more distinct now. I'm curious to see how it feels. And as someone who's more into TTRPGs lately, where it's like failure is kind of more inherent to it, I'm playing more role-playing games with like the fun idea of like, I am just going to be flawed and like try to fail more often at stuff. So I'm interested in this.
Yeah, and like sort of off of that point of failure, like I like that they were saying they're doubling down on sort of you will not see everything in this game on the first playthrough. Like, this is not a game where you can kind of like min-max it to, again, you are not going to be friends with everyone. Like, there's going to be a point where you're going to have to choose which faction you're going to roll with, or none of them. Like, you can play through this game without sort of like getting close to any of the factions. Like they were saying, the main storyline is faction agnostic. So it's like, if you feel like you don't need them, or if you want to role play like more of a lone wolf character, like there is a narrative thread that sort of, accommodates that, which is exciting. But yeah, they were like, we want this, like, kind of part of feeling like a true role playing experience is sort of knowing that you are giving up an entire like quest line or thread because of this choice that you made, and that in turn makes your choices feel like they matter, right? So like I said, like that was the thing that Fallout New Vegas did really well. So I'm excited to hear that they're like really tapping into that with this game. And then kind of the last big thing was like, you got the companions. So you got 6 new companions in this game. I only got to see 3 of them. Like if you remember the companions trailer, like the ones you get immediately are like Niles, who's sort of the like he's like another Earth Protectorate agent, and then the robot Valerie, who kind of like this drone that floats around. And the companions now also have like their own specialities that are sort of based on their backstories and personalities, where Niles is a mechanic, so his sort of like special skill is that he's basically a workbench with legs. So if you can craft weapons and ammo by talking to him instead of having to find a workbench, which is really, really useful. And then Valerie, she's pretty much just a mobile healer, so she'll just like during firefights will just be throwing health packs at you and stuff. The only other character I got during my time was Inez, who is she's kind of like a I think like a battle, kind of like a battle cleric. Like she's great in combat, but she can also help with healing. But she has this like her character has like this grafted, almost like weird chicken arm on her back that is sort of part of her like her whole character arc is that she like in that universe, I guess grafted soldiers are kind of looked down upon, and she's kind of trying to prove like, no, we can be valuable too. And you can upgrade her by swapping out her initial grafted arm with the grafted arms of other creatures, and each of them will give her like an added different power.
All right. It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. But they were saying like, yeah, your companions are apparently more reactive in this game, not only just with you, but also with each other, because they each come from like a different faction. So if you take someone like you have a companion named Tristan who was from the Protectorate, and it was like a higher ranking kind of like Judge Dredd like guy in that group. And if you have him in your party with someone from Auntie's Choice, their factions are openly at war with each other. So initially they might not get along and will be bickering constantly as you're going around, doing stuff. But they were saying like, maybe your companions might maybe they'll do things that might make the companion that they weren't getting along with like them more. So it seems like they react to each other almost as much as they react to your choices. But, like kind of built on the first game, like, if you piss them off too much, they might attack you or leave the group. You can kick them out anytime. You can even do things like sacrifice them if you want to try to solve a problem. Like if you have a companion that you don't really vibe with, you can like sell them out to a opposing faction, and then they'll leave their party forever, or but it also might make the rest of the party mad at you for doing that, depending on who they are, if they like that person too. So like I said, it seems like a lot deeper interactions you can have with with your partners in this game. So like I love the companions in the first game, especially like, I mean, Parvati was kind of the companion that stole the show.
That was the Ashley Birch was voicing her. Is that Parvati?
She's the first one you get in in Outer Worlds.
The secret, the trick to a companion, your favorite's probably going to be the first one because you spend the most time with them. It's kind of like the secret weapon.
Yeah, I didn't spend enough time with Niles to know like, oh, I love this guy. Like he seems fine, like he seems cool, but like, yeah, like I feel like Parvati, especially because I replayed a good bit of the first Outer Worlds before this cover trip. Mm-hmm. So getting to hang out with Parvati again was very nice, because I remember I was like, oh, I love her.
Yeah.
And then again, immediately you're just like, the moment you get her, you're like, she seems cool. I don't want anything bad to happen to her.
Yeah.
She's kind of my benchmark for like not only companions in this game, but like most other companions in other games.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Niles didn't have that immediate impact on me, but he also goes through a much different arc that again I can't quite talk about because it's all related to the prologue.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, the game comes out October 29th.
Yeah, I was just looking at it.
29th. Yeah,
check that.
I knew it was 6 or 9, depending on what direction you decide to flip it in. But overall, I walked away positive from my time playing it and speaking to the devs. You can read the full cover story right now, actually. If you're a digital subscriber, it's up online, and the print issue should be going out starting in early October. But I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I was a fan of the first game. Everything I've seen and played at the second game has me optimistic that they've will stick the landing with it. And if they do, that'll be quite a hat trick for them because this is their third release this year.
Wild.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Avowed and Grounded 2 and Outer Worlds 2 for those who, just for anyone who wasn't sure what their other 2 games were this year so far. It's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, check out our cover story right now for the Outer Worlds 2. We'll have some other online content going out over the month, some other written features and videos up on GameInformer.com. And
you might have asked them a lot of questions in rapid succession. Who's to say?
We might have. Yes, we have another rapid fire.
You're just coming out right and saying it,
Yeah, I mean,
no teasing.
Like Kyle's subtlety there. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.